Imagine being a young lady with dreams of stardom, yearning to leave your mark upon the world. You search for opportunities, hoping to catch that elusive break. And then, in the shadows, a twisted photographer waits, ready to exploit your innocence and shatter your aspirations. This is the story of Harvey Murray Glatman, a man who preyed upon the vulnerable, enticing them with the allure of fame and fortune. His path was lined with darkness, oddities, and a disturbing fascination with power and control. You won't believe the horrors unveiled behind the twisted mind of Harvey Murray Glatman, where dreams turned into nightmares and innocence devoured by darkness. The path we walk will be treacherous, but stay tuned as we unravel the mysteries that lie within the Glamour Girl Killer's realm. Are you ready to take the plunge? Harvey Glatman was not born a monster. He entered this world on a cold December day in 1927 in the gritty borough of the Bronx, New York City. But as the years unfolded, it became evident that darkness lurked within him. Even as a small child, Glatman displayed antisocial and sadomasochistic tendencies. As Glatman entered his teenage years, his twisted desires took a more sinister turn, and you won't believe how twisted they became. He ventured into the forbidden realm of breaking into women's apartments, pilfering their intimate possessions. Lingerie became his twisted trophies, foreshadowing the deadly path he would embark on. The darkness within Glatman grew, morphing into something more heinous. He graduated from theft to stalking and sexual assault. In August of 1945, the law finally caught up with him, convicting him of kidnapping and sexually assaulting a woman. He was sentenced to 5 to 10 years in Elmira Reformatory, a place where society locks up criminals pretending their existence never happened. Diagnosed with a psychopathic personality and labeled as schizophrenic, Glatman's vile impulses became evident. Despite these revelations, he was released on parole in 1948, allowing him to roam free once again. And what he does next will make your skin crawl. Like a malevolent shadow, Glatman slithered his way to the sun-drenched city of Los Angeles in 1957. It was there that he set his sights on a new hunting ground, prowling the domain of modeling agencies, preying on unsuspecting young women who dreamed of fame and glamour. Glatman would approach these aspiring models, offering them fictitious opportunities for work in pulp magazines. With deceitful promises of fame and fortune, he lured them to his lair. Once captured, the true horror began. Imagine, if you will, stepping into Glatman's apartment. A dimly lit chamber adorned with dark and taunting sinister secrets, where innocence will be shattered and dreams morphed into waking nightmares. The walls adorned with photographs, each one capturing a moment frozen in time, a twisted testament to his sadistic desires. And there you stand, drawn to the promise of a modeling career offered by a man who hides his true intentions behind a facade of charm. A dimly lit room, a young woman bound, her dreams shattered, and Harvey Glatman looming over her, documenting her suffering through his camera lens. He reveled in the agony, snapping pictures as he abused their bodies and souls. But Glatman's insidious thirst for power and control could not be satisfied with his sadistic acts alone. He silenced his victims forever, their lives brutally extinguished, their bodies dumped in the unforgiving desert. Two model victims, Judith Dull and Ruth Mercado, fell victim to Glatman's reign of terror, their lives forever stolen, their stories lost in the desolate sands. But it doesn't end there. Judith Dull, a young woman whose dreams were shattered in the most brutal way imaginable. Lured into Glatman's web of deceit, she found herself trapped, bound by the twisted fantasies that consumed her captor's mind. In that room of horrors, covered in the stench of fear, Judith endured unimaginable agony. Her pleas for mercy fell on deaf ears as Glatman reveled in his sadistic control, subjecting her to a gruesome fate. The room bore witness to the unforgiving brutality inflicted upon Judith. Glatman, driven by a perverted desire for power, enacted his darkest impulses upon her vulnerable form. Her eyes filled with terror and despair, but none would come to her aid. She was left to face her tormentor's sadistic whims, her innocence stripped away, her life hanging by a thread. In the face of Judith's suffering, Glatman found perverse pleasure in documenting every vile act through his camera lens, creating his own personal snuff film. A twisted artist of pain, capturing the essence of her anguish with each click, immortalizing her as both victim and object. And then, in a sickening climax, Glatman extinguished Judith's life. Her body, left broken, became just another discarded shell in a world plagued by the horrors of human depravity. As we delve deeper into the tale of Harvey Murray Glatman, we uncover the chilling intentions behind his depraved sadism, the morbid fascination behind the depths of darkness that dwelled within the human soul. But that wasn't all. The torture continued, inflicting terror on countless more women. Ruth Mercado, an innocent soul ensnared by Glatman's web of deception. She too fell victim to his insatiable thirst for power and control, her dreams and aspirations stolen away in the most brutal of manners. Within the confines of that sinister apartment, Ruth found herself trapped in a waking nightmare, bound and defenseless. She became a captive to Glatman's sadistic fantasies, the room bearing witness to her unimaginable suffering. The air thickened with a scent of blood as Ruth's life force ebbed away, marking the walls with a grotesque tapestry of horror. Glatman, devoid of empathy, reveled in the perverse pleasure of inflicting pain upon his helpless victim. The brutality she endured at Glatman's hands knew no bounds, leaving an indelible mark upon her that no passage of time could erase. As Ruth's life slipped away, Glatman savored the sick satisfaction that only a disturbed mind can find in the suffering of another. His camera captured the macabre dance of death, freezing her pain and anguish in haunting stillness for eternity. And so, Ruth Mercado became another tragic casualty of Glatman's cruel reign. Her body, violated and discarded, joined the grim ranks of his other victims, forever lost to the darkness that consumed them. But he couldn't stop there, with his desire to kill growing stronger with each victim. Shirley Ann Bridgeford, who sought companionship through a lonely heart's ad. Unbeknownst to her, her quest for love would lead her into the clutches of a heartless killer. Glatman's insatiable hunger for power and dominance knew no bounds. He exploited the vulnerability of those seeking connection, subjecting Shirley to unimaginable horrors. Her fate, like those before her, seemed sealed. In the end, Glatman silenced her forever, leaving her lifeless body to join the others in the desolate expanse of the desert. It was within those barren lands that he thought his secrets would remain buried, entwined with the arid winds and the shifting sands. However, fate had a different plan. The discovery of Boulder Jane Doe, a victim found lifeless years prior, seemed forever destined to remain a mystery. But it was the connection between Glatman's grisly deeds and the unidentified victim that would unlock the truth. The unraveling of Boulder Jane Doe's identity, Dorothy Gay Howard, a lost soul from Phoenix, Arizona, would shed light on the twisted path Glatman carved, further exposing the depths of his malevolence and the dark legacy he left behind. But every killer slips up eventually, and for Harvey Glatman, the devil was coming for his dues. In 1958, Glatman's reign of terror drew to a close. Caught in the act of kidnapping what would have been his fourth known victim, Lorraine Vigil, his sinister plot was foiled. As the patrolman approached the scene, a chilling tableau unfolded before his eyes, a struggle between predator and prey. The air thick with desperation, the ground stained with the battle between life and death. Glatman's grip tightened around Lorraine's fragile form, his intentions clear and horrifying. But fate intervened, and the patrolman's swift actions shattered the delicate balance between captor and victim. In that moment, the darkness that had consumed Glatman's twisted soul collided with the light of justice, exposing the depths of his depravity for all to see. Lorraine Vigil, though forever marked by the trauma she endured, escaped the clutches of the Glamour Girl Killer. It was through her bravery and the vigilant eye of the patrolman that the web of horror began to unravel, revealing the true extent of Glatman's atrocities. The walls he had carefully constructed around his sadistic acts began to crumble, exposing the gruesome evidence that lay hidden within his lair, a chilling testament to the mind of a remorseless murderer. Confessions spilled from his lips, revealing the extent of his monstrous deeds. Glatman led the authorities to a macabre treasure trove, a toolbox filled with photographs he had taken, each frame etching a chilling testament to his sadistic crimes. The wheels of justice turned, and Glatman's fate was sealed. Found guilty of 2 accounts of first-degree murder, he faced the ultimate punishment: death. Remarkably, he accepted his sentence, refusing any attempts to save his life. And so, on a somber September day in 1959, the Glamour Girl Killer, Harvey Murray Glatman, met his end in the unforgiving gas chamber of San Quentin State Prison. As we close this chapter of Harvey Murray Glatman's chilling tale, we ask ourselves, how many killers, like Harvey Glatman, walk among us? Sinister plans unveiling in their twisted minds. Is anyone safe anymore